One nation and we're on the move. It's not the
One Nation Under a Groove. Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Groove Swing Speaks, coming to you each and every Tuesday, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. on the East. And you know, Groove Swing Speaks, we bring you the best in our culture, not only with our organizations, but in our culture around the globe. We focus on things that are important to you. It could be education, it could be health, or anything. We also welcome business partners, business members, or members of the any society that is doing something for the community, and that's what Groove Swing Speaks is all about. Tonight we have a very special guest on. That's Laurie Goodman. Hey, Laurie.
Good evening.
Good evening. And on
Greetings, my
the panel, I
sister.
think I think there's my brother, my
Yeah,
biological brother, my groove brother. I think you know him.
I
Yes,
do.
we
I
do.
do. Hey,
That's my
Clayton.
sister. Hey, Peachy.
That's
If
right.
I can still call you Peachy.
You can. You
All
can.
right. Yeah, we go way back.
Right.
Way
Way.
back.
Yeah, I held it out for a surprise. I didn't tell him that you were going to be on. Did I tell you that she was going to be on?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I did. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I peeped into your mail, brother.
Oh, see, that's what happened. I told
Yeah.
you stop opening my mail, Clayton.
That's funny.
I
Well,
told you stop. And your sister, swing sister, Tanisha Holmes.
hey
Hola,
Tanisha.
sis.
Oh, hola. Hey, Laurie.
How are
How
Yeah,
you?
good. Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, we're going to have another exciting episode, and we want to talk to you, Laurie. You have an extensive resume, and I like for our guests to tell their story because tonight is all about you and what you do, uh, and also your journey in the business world as well. So, Laurie, tell
Yes.
us about your journey. Tell us about Laurie Goodman.
Laurie Goodman was born in New York City, grew up in Englewood, New Jersey, graduated from Dwight Moore High School, went to Virginia State University, pledged swing in spring of 80, Wantu chapter at Virginia State University. And from there, went back to New Jersey to work in a kind of a crazy, I don't want to say crazy, but kind of put in a position or asked to be in a position to work with building communities and building families and building communities and affordable housing and getting people in the less desirable neighborhoods to want to increase their revenue, live life better, learn about finance and money and home ownership, money management, credit. And I did that for 28 years. I worked with municipalities in Essex County. I've worked for housing authorities, teaching their Section 8 to home ownership programs. I have been a pillar in the affordable housing realm for many, many years because my whole focus was building the communities, one family at a time.
That is
That,
outstanding. And so that's why I'm so happy that Tanisha is on tonight because she's very much into building and development and things of that nature. So I'm going to step aside for a minute. Tanisha?
Okay. So that's your background, of course, is in community building as far as like housing. So you worked in like areas where people didn't really want to go work in, like not build in, like for instance, like a economically deprived areas, and you
Yes.
got to kind of build up so you can start building revenues in those particular areas, like similar to Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah,
That particular,
similar. I worked for nonprofits that did affordable housing development, but
okay,
I
development.
also worked the in the nonprofit sector as well, really just educating individuals on credit, money management, and really building financial freedom.
So similar to NACA, maybe along the lines of that. Have you ever heard of NACA?
I have. I have. I would say similar, but what I did was match families to programs and products
Okay.
and worked with individuals that lived in the area of some of the nonprofit organizations that were doing the affordable housing development and
Okay.
Also did consulting for municipalities and nonprofit organizations as well. Really just educating them, and because I was certified in home ownership and money management, financial fitness, credit restoration, you know, I really, really took what I did seriously to really build these communities.
So you said credit. So you basically just built like a whole program to basically get them prepared as far as like managing their money, and then of
Yes,
course the credit. And once credit up, to be able to get financing for a home, to be able to have home ownership, because of course home ownership is the way that you actually build wealth within
right.
our. So that's what you focus on with your journey of 28 years. So
Yes.
you also talked about the housing authority. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, for the housing authority, the East Orange Housing Authority, I worked with them for many years, and I
Mhm.
started their Section 8 to home ownership program.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
we worked with individuals that had a decent income, not
Mhm.
a heavy income, but enough that they could buy a multifamily property. But
Okay.
the first phase of that was really getting them prepared, and understanding the sacrifice that it takes to be a homeowner.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah. And I did that for East Orange, but for Fort Lee Housing, I actually did their credit and money management program, for the individuals that were on Section 8. It wasn't for the home ownership piece at that time, but really getting people to understand the importance of money management, and letting them know it's not how much you have, but it's what you do with it.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
So with the participant in that particular program, whenever they were like in the Section 8, or not Section 8, but I guess you could say the housing programs, were
Hmm.
they the vouchers to be able to, when they purchase those homes, are they still able to qualify for the vouchers to be able to apply to that mortgage, or was that completely
Yes.
knocked out? Or they
No,
were.
they actually were able to use their certificate
Okay.
and
Okay.
to help them to create their mortgage and their financing.
Okay. That's
They
that's
had
great.
to go through, yeah, they had to go through a home ownership program.
Mm-hmm.
And, we brought in realtors that specialized in affordable housing development, or affordable housing, period, I should say. We brought in realtors, lenders, home inspectors, uh, the individuals that granted, like State Farm, come in and talk about, the importance of home insurance. We had the inspector come in to talk about what you need to know when you have a home inspection, how
Mm-hmm.
important the home inspection is, what happens if a house fails the inspection. So we really educated them on everything that they needed to know, so they could never say no one ever told me.
I got it. And what was the timeline on this? Like, was it like 2 years, 3 years, or
It
from
depended
the.
on the individual. Some were a year, some were 2 years, some were 5 years.
Okay.
You
As
know,
and okay, okay. I guess what my last question is, like, sometimes I know the city's probably the city and the so we call it city, like we have a city of Raleigh, and they have a
okay,
program called the CPLP program, where it's down payment assistance program, that you have to stay in certain areas. So
yes.
okay, so it's similar to that. So I guess you were responsible for implementing something similar to that too as well, right? As far as like
Right.
grant.
We partnered with the municipalities to
Okay.
get the down payment assistance. For majority of the individuals there, actually was able to get it, to help
Hmm.
them with down payment, and then sometimes they'd even give them money for closing costs.
Yeah. Okay. Similar program.
Hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Clayton, what's your thoughts about this?
Oh, wow. I was soaking this up like a sponge. And thank you, Tanisha. Good evening. Uh, and fortunately, I was able to be able to be a homeowner. But for those that's out there that don't have the education, you and Tanisha both has spoken on this um, and said a lot. But to unpackage this for those that's out there that do not have no knowledge, because Tanisha mentioned you don't have to have this great credit ranking in order to be able to apply for home ownership. But say, for instance, there's somebody out there that have like a 500 credit rating or something that's low, and most banks won't even touch them. How do they get around that monster in order to be able to apply for a home? Because they have to start somewhere.
Mhm.
Right. Well, with our program, you couldn't even think about purchasing a home until you were really mortgage qualified. So
Right.
we work
Okay.
with them with their credit. We work with them with their budgeting and their money management to get them to a 640 and above.
Right.
You
Okay.
know, there's some lenders that will take them at lower, rates, but we wanted them to get the best rate that they could get for the money
Yeah.
that they had.
Because you also mentioned that you work with Fort Lee Housing. Was
Hmm.
that Fort Lee in
New
Petersburg?
Jersey, New Jersey.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Hmm.
I thought that was the Fort Lee area down in Petersburg
Oh yeah,
that we
no,
both know of. Because Petersburg needs a lot of help. So does Richmond, some parts
yeah,
of Richmond. And I know some people that want to be able to own homes, and they still at that crossroads where they nobody will let them in the door.
right. Right.
Uh,
Because you got to do your homework. You got to do your due
yeah,
diligence. You got to understand the process. You have to go through the process to get to where you need to be so that you know that once you start your paperwork, that you know that you're going to get approved and you have taken all your courses. So what to expect,
yeah,
when it comes to what type of realtor you like or the home inspection process, the mortgage, what rate, what product is good for you, whether it's an FHA or conventional,
yeah.
for multifamily, you want a single family, multifamily, there's a lot to it. It's a lot to it. It's a puzzle.
Now also on that tip, what could that person do to build up their rating? And
Hmm.
because a lot of people don't know what it takes, and some people say watch out for these little steps because sometimes you can mess your rating up.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm.
And could you elaborate on that a little bit for those that need to be educated on that, what it would take and how long, on an average, how long it would take them to build up to maybe a 640 or 700.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. So the one thing is really just getting your financial mindset straight and
Mm-hmm.
understanding that this is what you want to do and you're going to do whatever it takes to get to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, it's basically sitting down with someone who can guide you through the whole process from, credit restoration to budgeting to money management to savings, um, and teaching you the tools that it takes to really, impact yourself financially. Because when you go to a lender, you want to be educated enough to know that what they're saying, you understand. So when we're talking about your terms, your approval amount, your pre-approval amount, what's the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification? Like, we educate them on every facet. As far as going back to the credit, what we do is we pull your credit report, sit down with you, go over what you need to do with your good credit, meaning keeping it at a 30% ratio of your credit, whatever your credit limit is.
Yeah.
And then working on the bad stuff, getting that to where it needs to be, or even some of the individuals enrolled in a program that help them, get rid of all of the garbage on their credit report. And sometimes it would take a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a year, sometimes it would take more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
I
really the
understand also,
sacrifice. Hmm.
Laurie, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Um, there are some things out discrepancies on people's credit reports that could be erased, but they never visit that credit report to even see
Right.
about it because I even had it done when I was active duty,
Hmm.
and I think applying for something. Next thing you know, this I was in Italy at the time, and on my credit report was something that wasn't taken care of long time ago, and next
Hmm.
thing you know, it was J.C. Penney's, as a
Hmm.
matter of fact, and we
Yeah.
didn't have a J.C. Penney's over in Italy. They had accrued all this interest
Hmm.
and sent it to a collections, and next thing you know, I find that okay, this collections wasn't even talking to me properly. It was
Hmm.
really upsetting me. So I found that I could go back and settle this with the company itself
Hmm.
instead of dealing with this collection agency, which was nothing but a bulldog.
Right.
Uh, and I kind of bypassed them, but a lot of people don't know because they get freaked out when
Mm-hmm.
these collection agencies start to calling and start barking at them, and they realize, okay, their finances in trouble, but it could be an easy fix. As a matter of fact, I was trying to get a top secret clearance. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And in the military, they don't tolerate any discrepancies on your financial report in
Mm-hmm.
order to be
Right.
qualified. Okay.
Right.
I said
Yeah.
that to say this. I was able to go and take care of that for a fraction of what they was asking for.
Mm-hmm. Because the debt
Um,
was old and it had already been written off.
Mm-hmm.
So when the debt is
hmm
old and it's been written off,
It's already been.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
insured. They got their money, and so whatever they can
Mm-hmm.
get, they're going to try to
Uh-huh.
get. But other than that, and
Uh-huh.
also,
Okay.
remember this: if something is older than 7 years, recorded on your
Yeah.
credit report,
Yeah.
most of the time that's the statute of limitation, so it can be removed. You can
Wow.
call the
See,
bureaus and just say, you know what, this has been on my credit report for 7 years,
and you
and it
know
needs
there's a
to be
lot of people out
removed.
there don't know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know that.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's a
Wow.
lot
Wow.
to your
Wow.
credit.
Hmm
It's a lot to your credit. It's a lot to repair. But the key is just understanding what you have that's blemished on your credit report, how you're going to
hmm
rectify it. Is it past 7 years? Is it something that you want to settle? Because people always say, well, Laurie, is it good to settle, your debts? And it all depends on what it is. They're your debts. You have
Mm-hmm.
to reconcile them. You have to, get to a point where if it's settled, maybe the company will remove it.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
about calling and just really just asking.
Yeah. Talk to somebody.
Hmm.
Wow. That is deep. I hope some of the listeners out there in Groove Swing Land that's hearing this, pass that on to some of your neighbors or some of those that are destitute that need to know this. So this is valuable information you're sharing here. Thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
So, wow. And also, I know that you are also a travel agent. Is that the proper title?
Yes, yeah, travel. I'm a chief fund officer. I like
Okay.
to take people on trips and have great times. But yeah, I am a travel
Okay.
agent. A travel
Mm-hmm.
Right.
agent called. I have an agency called Peach Travel Pro,
Right.
Okay.
and
Right.
which is kind of it's kind of weird because people were like, "Well, wait a minute." I said, "Well, look, I did my due diligence. I did worked in the nonprofit sector and the private sector and not private sector for 28 years. But what I always loved was to travel. So when I got the opportunity to open up my travel agency, I did that because that's all I want to do. That's all I ever want to do is travel. I still help. Individuals, if they need my help, of course they can always reach out to me when it comes to money management, finance, credit, budgeting, all of that good stuff. But travel is definitely my passion.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
I,
This is very interesting. I'm sorry, Clayton, if you
Mhm.
weren't done, please continue.
this is my old friend, so it's
Yeah.
almost like a reunion for the two of us. It's good to see you again, Laura. And
Well, thank you. Always a pleasure to see you,
yeah,
Clayton.
because
Always.
I need to talk to you anyway because I want to get out of this house and go somewhere.
Okay, and I can
So
help you
I will be
wherever it
talking to you
is.
and trying to set up vacation sometime soon. And
Okay.
because you have done that for several people, and they have been highly pleased with the results. But I wasn't going to jump ship from what you do in the housing
Hmm.
arena. I just got excited about your real estate. I mean, yeah, your travel agency thing. So I jumped ship.
It's
So,
okay. It's okay.
so
I go
yeah,
back
sorry about
and
that.
back and forth because wherever the need is, that's where I
Yeah,
like to be. So it's
yeah,
okay.
Well,
I was all over the place.
It's
that's all
So
right.
okay.
No,
thank you
that's
for
okay. That's okay. We're coming back full circle anyway. So, Laura, I got a question. I heard I was listening off air. I was out of the studio just for a minute or two,
Mhm.
and I heard something you said about pre-approval and pre-qualifications. What's the
Right.
difference?
Well, pre qualifications is just a number that a lender gives you. The pre-approval is that you've done everything that you needed to do. They ran the numbers, they ran your social security number, and this is what you actually qualified for.
Okay.
They take your documentation and they put it all together and they say, okay, this is what you can afford. No
Mm-hmm.
more, no less. With a pre-qual, they can just say, well, by looking at the numbers, this is what we think you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mhm.
pre-qualifications many years ago used to hold water because that was getting your foot in the door. But
Right.
now most lenders did away with the pre-qualifications, and it's really just going to get a straight pre-approval, knowing how much you can afford and going from there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's
Good.
something else, and I think you were talking about credit scores. What
Mhm.
is a good credit score to qualify for to purchase a new home?
Well, there's different products and different programs.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it all depends on who. If you, for me, I always tell people 640 and above.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
higher the credit, the better product you're going to get. It's going to
Hmm.
cost you less money because your interest rate is going to be lower.
Okay.
So the higher the credit, the better.
Okay, I
You know.
understand that. That makes a lot of sense. And let's see, one of our listeners here, Valua Brand. Hey, Valua, how are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. And tell your friends also, because this is a very, very, very important topic. There's so many people that's looking to buy a home. They're renting, and with rents going up, skyrocketing these
Skyrocket
days,
for sure.
people want to get a house that is something that they can build equity in, something that
Mhm.
belongs to them. You see, so this is a very important program. Now, programs that you design, are they? Let's say we're in Virginia,
Mhm.
and are there programs just like yours that we can tap into here in Virginia?
I can research it and find out for you. My program that was basically geared towards individuals. So for the program that I do, it's individually based because
Hmm.
everybody's situation is different. As
Hmm.
far as the grants and lenders that really work with individuals, as far as the affordable products or just a great lender in general, um, I can research that for you.
Right, right, right. And I noticed that some there are some lenders out here that, for instance, my bank, they will approve you for a home that's already built, but some lenders will not approve you for if you want to say you have some property and you want to
Mhm.
build your own home. Some lenders will not do that, and I don't understand why. They will not give you a construction loan. They will only give you a loan on something that's already a pre-existing property, rather.
Right. I think it all depends if you own the land that you want to build on,
Uh huh.
because sometimes it's leased land, so that might have a lot to do with it, or just finding a lender that a good lender that knows the ropes, because not every lender has that product.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
the 203K is the rehab loan. So you can
Hmm.
buy a property or want to buy a property, get the 203K product, and then renovate your house. And then by the time you finish renovating, it'll be with the equity that you've put into the house as far as the renovations, that will be what your house will be worth.
Okay. That will count towards it. In other words,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
outstanding. Outstanding.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, Tanisha.
Yeah, because that's an FHA product and the rates are typically a little
Mhm.
bit high. But are you all aware of what's going on with the National Association of Realtors? Basically, that they're no longer going to pay real estate agents commissions. The sellers and the builders are not responsible for paying the buyers agents commission. Have you all heard about that?
I heard that. I thought that was
Very-
horrible.
I know. I've been a real estate agent for 25 years, and we're
It's
still talking about
horrible.
what in the world. And
So
so
wait,
that
does that? Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Does that mean that you work with a client and it's up to the client to pay you for your services?
Correct. Either that, and we're not allowed to actually, from my understanding, we're not allowed to actually call the builder or the seller and say, "Hey, are you offering a commission on this particular property?" Which it makes things really, really, really. It's going to be really tough in my. It's like you have to be kind of aware of like basically not breaking any type of laws because we're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to call. We're not allowed to do anything. So we're just kind of caught in a bad situation there, and we can get in trouble for that. So I think there's going to be a lot of complaints and lawsuits been filed, especially with us having those type of restrictions. But no, the buyer is going to be responsible for paying our commission, or don't buy a house or not. And I think in that situation, it's keeping a certain class of people not being able to purchase homes. If you understand where I'm coming from, because a lot of people don't have 2.5%, 3%, or 4% to pay on the buyer side, where it was typically by the listing agent, the seller. Yeah, so that's what's going on too. So the real estate market's starting to change, but from my understanding, it came from the big corporation or big, well-known online real estate search companies that starts with a Z. So I'm not going to that, but Carol, real estate agents are who keep the market going. Real estate agents keep
absolutely. I'm floored, and I don't mean to cut you off. I'm floored because you really need to have a working realtor to work on your behalf, and it's not always easy, especially the market that we're in now. When you have multiple bidders on properties, I think that's just so unfair. It's so unfair for realtors.
And I work with a lot of clients with like credit issues and stuff like that too. So what I do typically when you're talking about the credit repair and also too for Clayton, if I negotiate their debts too as well. If it's an old debt, sometimes I always ask for the original documentation. If they're not able to provide it, delete it. Okay, that's one thing. One way that I angle that situation. Also too, what I'll do is I said, if we pay this debt down, I want to have delete off the credit report. And I think you touched on that too as well. Because a lot of times they don't do that. And I also know with a lot of collection agencies or old debts, they go and they keep on letting it hit the credit report every 2 or 3 years. So it looks like fresh debt too as well. So people need to be aware of that.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's the collection game is really alive and well because they keep reselling and selling and reselling. And if they call you and you acknowledge the debt, then you own it. But if somebody calls you 5 years after if you have a debt and you don't acknowledge it, I don't know what you're talking about. If I owe something, send me something. Then you're not locked into them saying, oh, okay, well, let's take care of this. Tell me how you want to pay. In other words, you're turning the tables and saying, you know what? I don't know what you're talking about. Send me some proof.
Right.
Documentation that showed that I signed for this credit card or whatever the case may be. And 99% of the time, they can't even show it to you.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Those are the tricks of their trade there. Yeah. And now you mentioned something about having a realtor that would work for you. I know I'm paraphrasing, but some realtors, they are in it for themselves, and they will not help you to be able to find the best deal. So you advocate, do your homework, and don't settle for the first offer that is given to you. Shop around. In other words, instead of letting them be in control, you be in control of your own destiny as far as your house, your purchasing a house is concerned. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and I always tell individuals, interview the realtor. You can tell when you sit down and have a conversation with them, and you tell them what you're looking for, what your approval amount is. You may not want to spend your top approval amount. You might want to keep it safe for you in your pockets. But you have to have a realtor that will work with you, that understands this is what I want, this is the area I'd like to be in, this is as much as I can pay. And
there's also go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say a lot of times a good realtor will understand it, and they can go right for what you're looking for instead of going around the bush and then coming back and saying I can't find anything.
Yeah.
Or I know you want this neighborhood, but what about the one next door? They may have some properties there that may be a little, more, I would say, in your budget or in your range. Good realtors know how to navigate, because especially, I'm sure you've been in the business, like you said, for many years. So you've had some good clients and some bad clients, but I'm sure that you did everything that you could to get them into a property because that's how you get paid.
Yeah, and I've given up half my paycheck too as well. I could have been a millionaire by now if I didn't have my check. But I mean, but if it's like a mother with some kids and she's a first time home buyer, I'm going to help that sister out. That's what I'm going to do. Because I know that God's going to bless me in another area, and it comes back to me as well. But it's based off the real estate agent too, because when I interview, the first thing I'll say to them, okay, what are we working with as far as like money reserves? And I
Right.
like to tell is don't tell your lender how much money you have because I want to see if they're gonna. I know about all the programs because they start adding, calculate that on that spread
Right.
on the.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, don't.
'Cause they want to calculate your money and tell you what you need to do with it.
They sure do.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. I got a question before people pass it back over to your friend Clayton here.
Okay, all
Um,
right. Quickly.
um, there
Hey,
is
hey,
legislation that I believe that Biden has passed. I'm not sure whether it's been approved through Congress or not. And that is if you have medical debt
Hmm.
that is supposed to be removed off of your credit
They
report.
can't even
Has
put
that
it
been?
on there.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
I cut you off. Forgive me. It has
No,
been
go
approved.
on.
It's been approved, but they can't even new medical bills. They can't even put it on your credit report.
And now, what if you have those on your credit report and they have not removed them?
Well, this law was for new medical
Okay.
bills. It wasn't for old medical bills.
Oh, okay. Okay. I understand now. I understand now.
And if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken, I could be wrong. I think they still can't even calculate your old medical bills, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken, in the
PTI.
equation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
If I'm not
That's the way I
mistaken,
understood it.
yeah,
That's what I thought I understood. Okay.
yeah,
Clayton.
yeah.
Clayton.
yes, yes, I'm here. Hey, Laura, do you work with VA as well?
I work with lenders that work with VA because I do work with veterans because it's the same, basically the same process, just less money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I had a nonprofit called the Partnership for a Better Tomorrow, and we
Mm-hmm.
worked with everybody, whether they were veterans, whether they qualified for FHA mortgages or conventional mortgages, 203K mortgages. We worked with everybody because we wanted everybody to build these communities that were a little less desirable. You know, we wanted to bring them back to life.
And what do you think about these tiny house communities? I kind of like them.
I love tiny houses. I just don't even understand how I could get all my stuff in there. But when the tiny house, thing just when it just really exploded,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
the houses were only 29 and 30 and $40,000.
What?
Now the tiny
yeah.
houses are going up to 100,000, 150,000,
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
200,000. They're almost as much as what a house would be.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
And
Yeah.
And see,
and the
And
and
you
lady
got
that
to
for
find somewhere to park it.
yep. And the
That's another thing. You got to rent. Somebody may charge you rent to
mm-hmm.
put it on their property, or you buy your own property and put it on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love
Amazing.
tiny houses. They're the cutest things to
yeah,
me. But I mean, I would have to have one that's on one level. Like I'm not walking up those little skinny steps. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna
yeah,
roll
yeah,
over and hit the floor. So I need to
Uh-huh.
be on one level.
yeah. Like you, I love them too. And I think there should be more of them because it's enough for one person or maybe a couple,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and because there's so many people that's homeless and those
Mm-hmm.
people that are out there that can't afford a full-size house. But like you said, they started off 40, 50,000,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and they could have built neighborhoods or communities of them
That's right.
that got a lot of people off the street
Mm-hmm.
for half the price. But of course, they want to keep the poor poor and the
Right.
That's
rich
right.
rich. So
Because
Amazing.
they think that poor people are just derelicts.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It could be people that have gone through some things in their life. They could be. I tell everybody all the time, you two paychecks away from being homeless.
No.
It
Wow.
yeah,
can
Mm-hmm.
happen to anybody.
It
It
could.
can happen to
It can.
anybody. You know, Mental illness, um,
Mm-hmm.
military, PTSD. It could be anything. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It just means that you've gone through some things in your life and you need a little help.
true,
Yep.
true.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Um,
that is
I was gonna tell you the lady that actually implemented the ideal tiny houses actually was in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it slipped through the cracks in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I have a contractor's license, and I'm actually like trained up under a builder now. And that's one of my first projects is actually working on a tiny house for one of my girlfriends right now.
oh
I
cool.
love that. I love
So
that. I have
it's
a
pretty
friend that
interesting, trying to, but we have a certain budget that we're trying to work with as far as like trying to keep it
okay.
at a certain amount. But of course, once we finish that project, we can 5,000.
I love that. I have a friend that does the
Uh-huh.
containers.
Huh?
who builds houses with the
Oh, the
containers.
containers,
Yeah.
In New
the
Jersey.
boxables. Yeah, the box.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's doing pretty
Yep.
good. He's
Okay.
doing pretty good. I think that if
Yeah.
they did tiny
Yeah.
house communities, I think that there would be so much, the communities would be a lot richer,
Mhm.
Yes.
because they're still bringing value to the community.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're so neat
They're the
and
cutest
like I
thing.
said, it's just enough for a single
They are.
bachelor
Hmm.
or a bachelorette
Hmm.
or a
Mhm.
couple, just enough because sometimes you have too much house
Oh
or
Right.
yeah.
too much this or that, and you could put about three or four of them on a pretty decent sized land. So
Hmm.
I think that would be an ideal thing to get some of these people off the street.
I
Yeah,
love the tiny houses. I do.
I think that's a good idea. Also, you know, our tiny house wouldn't work for me because I need a place for my studio.
Right.
So it wouldn't
You
work
need a
for me.
container house then, because you can have separate. You can have your living room in this container. You can have a bedroom in that container, and they stack them and cut them. They're
Really,
beautiful.
Yeah,
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 they're
they're pretty
beautiful.
cool.
I haven't seen those before.
Hmm.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Really,
You
really.
have you got to go on YouTube. You'll see them.
Contain. It's called container houses.
Well,
I
that's what
mean,
I call them because they're made out of those real containers.
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Hmm.
Wow, amazing. And you know
Yeah.
that would also help get a lot of people. And now, what about affordability with the container houses? Are
They're,
they?
they're much cheaper than a regular house.
I would think so
Because years
because
ago they
they're.
were like $1,500 to
Are
$2,000
you serious?
for a container. Because remember, these containers have been all over the world. They're not the nicest looking things, but they're
Uh-huh.
sturdy.
They're sturdy,
They're
but you
sturdy.
could. Yeah, but they can be dressed up, can't they?
They're beautiful.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can't even tell. Matter of fact, I don't know if you've ever heard of Pinterest, but Pinterest has a lot of beautiful tiny houses and container houses, and I always save them because I just like the look. I like the
Oh,
look. Every tiny house is different. Every
right,
container house is different.
right. So
Hmm.
if you wanted a two-story, you just stack one container on top of the other.
Yep, basically.
Oh, that is really neat.
You can use 4 containers and have a beautiful house.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I need to look into that.
They're
I
really
have.
nice.
I
Yeah,
now, Tanisha. Now, are you familiar
Yep.
with container houses as well?
Yeah. Containers. There's some places called boxables. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I
That's
love
what I
them.
love about this show. You learn something new every time we do these shows.
Hmm.
This
I
is
love
this is
them.
this is
Yeah.
very very amazing. So now you mentioned something about there's a term that I haven't heard. 203, is it 203K
Yeah,
loan?
it's a rehabilitation loan, and that's when you
Mhm.
buy a house that needs some work, and you want to bring
Okay.
it either up to code or you want to decorate it or design it the way you'd like it to be.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. Oh boy. Our brother Robert Hicks, he's in New York now, but he came on the show anyway. Prayers out to your aunt, Robert. I hope she's doing well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Oh
Good
man.
evening, everybody.
Hi,
Yeah, that's good
Robert.
news. Now, meet Laurie Goodman, swing sister.
I know him.
Oh,
You know Robert.
hello,
Uh-huh.
Wow.
hello, sister. How are you this
I'm
evening?
good. I'm good. Thank you. And yourself?
This is this is a family affair here.
Greetings,
She's
Robert.
Absolutely.
Good to see you.
she was talking about her programs. I think it's wonderful how you developed that real estate program that you did, and how many people that you are helping. So, Robert, I don't know how much you. Well, you may already know about this sister here, and so what questions or what comments would you like to make?
Oh, thank you. Basically, the idea, you probably might have discussed it, and I apologize for everybody just being traveling the highways and byways, but always make time to be here on the show. It's definitely a show everybody should listen to. Um, so first and foremost, I just want to make sure I get that out there. And Sister Rory, thank you for being here.
Oh,
Um,
you're
you
welcome.
mentioned aspects about real estate. Um, could you probably explain why it is very important for people to be involved in some level of real estate, even if they are not privy to it? Why it is actually an important thing to have?
Well, I'm going to start it and then I'm going to let Tanisha finish because she is the real estate expert. But my
Oh, really?
opinion is for individuals to understand what the realtor can do for you, and be educated that a realtor is someone who's working for you and with you, and that you need them because they know the communities, they know the areas, they know where the police stations are, the hospitals. They know everything that you need when you're purchasing a property in a particular community, especially if that's their area that they service. You know, realtors are in the business of helping their clients get into home ownership and staying in home ownership, building wealth through home ownership. We have a lot of, I'm sure she's had a lot of repeat business. She might have people that bought starter homes and then they came back to her and said, you know what? I think I want to move up in the world. I think I'm going to rent this house out and buy another house. So that's what I think. I think that no one should buy a house without a realtor. That's my personal opinion because I've seen things go to the left when people really think that they know what they're doing and they really don't. So I'm going to let Tanisha really go for that one.
And she is correct about that because I've had some people that called, like some of my IBMer friends. I want to throw IBMer up on the bus, but and they'll say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to go buy this house without my real estate agent, without a real estate agent, without professional advice." And then, of course, they get into a situation and they didn't know that they should have got a radon test done or got to get a termite test, a termite inspection done. And the house is starting to fall down, excessive moisture in the house because they didn't have a real estate agent to actually walk them through the necessary process and steps of actually getting the proper inspections done. Like I said, termite, home inspections, even septic inspections, even checking the fact that there's certain bacteria in a septic system. And so that's the benefit of having a real estate agent. You're actually paying actually for my knowledge and paying for the agent's knowledge and.
Oh boy, I'm sorry. She'll be back. She'll be back. But I have a question. Speaking of realtors, now you have some people out there that will sell their homes on their own. They won't go through a real estate agent. They'll just be. They will in short terms. They will act as your real estate agent, but they also the seller at the same time. What is the downfall, if any, and what is the danger of doing directly to the seller, a person who's selling the home versus having an agent?
I personally never recommend that, but there are some people that are well educated that know how to do it. Majority of the people don't. There's a lot of scammers. There's a lot of people that gotten their houses taken from them because they had them sign documents, that they really should not have signed. They don't work with if you're going to sell your own property, then you need to work with an attorney and let your attorney be your mouthpiece.
Okay.
Never sell a property without an attorney or a title company. And the reason I say title company is because when I came to Georgia and bought a house, I've always been told and taught that you go through an attorney and let your attorney read your documentation and make sure your paperwork and everything is correct before closing. And then you go to the closing table at your attorney's office, sign the documents, get your keys, and you're done. But in the state of Georgia, or where I live in Conyers, Georgia, when I bought my house, they made me use a title company. So when I went to the title company, they were like, I asked them about 50,000 questions because to me, it didn't make sense. But that's what they do. And then when I went to Florida, they also use title companies. So it all depends on what state you live in. But my thing is use somebody to work with you when you're thinking about selling your property on your own. If you're not educated, I wouldn't do it because there's a lot of people that lost their homes by being uneducated about selling a property.
I know when I bought my house in California, then I went to an attorney. There was a friend of mine that was selling his property, but we went through an attorney and negotiated it that way.
Right. That's the
So
best
yes,
way.
yes. There's a lot. I've heard also like people selling their own properties. A lot of them, or not a lot of them. I can't put a number on it, but some of them rather, uh, they may have a plumbing problem, or it might be this problem, and they'll dress the house up, paint it up real nice for you on the outside. But if it's not inspected properly, or
Mhm.
There might be some real problems with that property, and they'll
Yep.
sell it to you. And if it's not done, if you haven't done your research or it hasn't been inspected properly, then you could get stuck.
Right.
With it
Right.
could be bad electrical problems with it.
Mhm.
Like I said, plumbing problems, a whole host of problems with that. So,
No, you're right. And that's why when I taught the first time home buying classes, I brought in multiple realtors, multiple lenders, multiple home inspectors. I use one that I really like, but I use more than one. But you do that so that everybody is not in the same circle,
hmm
because if the realtor knows the lender and the lender knows the inspector, excuse me, and then you trust these people, and then you get to the closing and you get to the house and your furnace doesn't work,
wow.
or your it just doesn't make sense. You want to make sure you have a good home inspection done by
hmm
somebody outside of the clique, if you might say.
Right.
um, and they will go in and tell you what you actually need and address the issues that you have. It takes
Mhm.
2.5 hours, basically 2 hours, to do a home inspection. If you have somebody that's good, that works from the attic on all the way down. It all
Right.
depends on what area you live in too. You
Okay.
know,
I
yeah.
understand. Uh,
Yes, definitely. Also, this is probably something that some people tend to overlook, but how important is a title search?
It's very important because you don't know if there's liens on that property. You
Wow.
don't know if it was inherited property, if it's been cleared, the title's been cleared. It's very important. And that's why, to me, attorneys and title companies are good, because they do all of those things. And I
Right.
and I know that Tanisha probably, I don't know if she got kicked out again, but I know that Tanisha probably can really touch on that, because I'm sure she's seen that numerous times.
hmm And you
You
mentioned
know,
liens on the property, and so yeah, I'm gonna toss it back over to Tanisha also.
Tanisha, yeah.
But I just want to say, there's so you buy a house
Mhm.
and not knowing that there's a lien on that property, you just purchased that lien, didn't you?
Well, it all depends. If you have a good attorney or title company, you can't close until the title is clear, and then
Okay.
then you get the clear to close. But
Okay.
Right.
sometimes it's overlooked. Sometimes there's mistakes that happen.
hmm
You want to make sure that title, once it's leaving that owner and it's coming to you, that it's going to be in your name and your property without anybody else on there.
Right. Like Robert said, selling and buying a house is serious business. Tanisha.
Sure is.
And that is true with the title searches, and things like that too as well. But sometimes you have to be mindful that if you do get a title search done, okay, I'm a little different. So sometimes I'll use the builder's attorney. Sometimes I won't, just because they might clear something that may not should be clear. Like I had an
Mhm.
incident where a situation where the builder and the attorney actually were friends. I wouldn't say good old boys. So we're in the South. Hate to be like that.
Mm,
And there was a glitch on the title, right? And they said,
Mhm.
"Oh, just let it go by. Just pass it on through." And I'm like, "No, you can't let this pass on through. I'm not gonna let this
Mm-mm.
pass on through." And it's because of
Right.
situations like that. So you have to be mindful of that, because she would have signed off on it and basically had a defect on her title. Also, too, with titles, when you do title searches, that's one thing. But also, too, it's always good to get a survey done, because you have something called impervious surfaces. And if someone basically puts too much like hardscapes on the back of a property, that can affect the
Mhm.
title, because
Mhm.
the water's not able to flow in certain directions, and that can be a title glitch too as well. So having a title search is super super duper important, especially if you're doing a mortgage. That's just guaranteed. Only
Mhm.
when you have like a cash buyer, you may that you can kind of slip through that sometimes too as well, as far as like not getting title insurance when you have like cash investors. But the lenders are going to require for you to have a title search done,
Right.
and basically certified, and that's pretty much it. But just those things to kind of look out for. And of course, you said the probate, and you have to worry about the
Mhm.
probates, and all heirs have to sign off on it, and have all signatures
Mhm.
have to be present. There's a lot to it, and
Yeah.
so those things you have to be mindful of. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
yeah.
have a question real quick while it's fresh on my mind,
Hmm.
because I tend to forget things very quickly. Um, do you all run into discriminations and
Hmm.
people charging one person, maybe a person of color, more than they would somebody that's not? Do you experience that often?
I
Nothing.
didn't. It was a big deal back in the day when they did redlining just to kind of keep
Hmm.
particular areas, but not anymore. I haven't, I haven't heard of anything like that.
Mm.
because I know uh, family members that deal with, okay, their neighbor may be being charged even in their rental under the
Uh-huh.
same company more than the neighbor. What do you do on that account?
Mhm.
What you suggest that they do?
I think it all depends on did they move in at the same time? Because rents are always calculated differently, and it all depends on when the person moved into the unit. So that could be a thing. Or if it is not that way, and they could have both moved in on the same day, and one is charged $200 more, then you have a case,
Hmm.
Mm.
and that's when you need an attorney, because you need to
Mm.
find out why is he paying more, why am I paying more, and the other person paying less.
Right. Interesting. Interesting. There's a case, you may have heard of it in California, and it's a black doctor who purchased a townhome, and I think it was near a beach or on the beach, beachfront property, and she paid. She was doing it. They didn't know who she was, or what she looked like. They just knew she was a doctor, knew she had the income. She was already approved. Matter of fact, she put a down payment on the property, and when she showed up, the owner didn't want to sell it to her.
Wow.
Mhm. That's a lot of that.
That's a
It
lot
didn't
of
want
that.
didn't want to
That
sell
you
it to her.
can see.
Hmm.
But now, but they accepted that down payment.
Hmm.
Okay, they were pretty much locked in, and like I said, I think that she has a very serious case going on there. We're talking about $750,000. I don't know
Mhm.
how much money she put down on it, but I would imagine. Well, if it's 10%, then that's $75,000, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, that's
And she
seventy-five
might have
thousand
put more
dollars.
than that down, She might have put more than that down. The more you
Yeah,
put down, the
and,
less your payments are.
and she could have. I'm not exactly
Yeah,
sure how much
right.
she put down, but it was documented that she did put a down payment. So that pretty much locked that seller and that buyer into a contract once they accepted that money and signed some papers, I believe.
Yeah, they always can have some kind of excuse, saying that they changed their mind, they took it off the market or whatever the case may be. But if they did it because of her race,
Hmm.
then, and she can prove that, then she has a case.
Well, the realtor told her that the owner didn't want to sell it to a black person.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But it's
so
still going on in the world.
yeah, yeah. That's unfortunately it still goes on,
It
but
does. Hmm.
I hope she got her. I believe she got her house. I'm not sure. I haven't seen a follow up story on that. But also, I hope she got a pound of flesh out of that too. I hope rightfully so. We've got a few minutes left to go. So let's switch subjects. Tell us a little bit about your travel business.
Ooh, so I've had the travel business now for 6 years. And I love travel. I do a lot of group travel. I do a lot of girlfriend trips. Just came back actually last week from Greece and Italy. I
Mm,
Wow.
went on a
Mm.
Norwegian Mediterranean cruise, and that was interesting. It was interesting.
yeah.
It was a good time. It was very hot, and it was a lot of walking.
Yes.
But it's not that I didn't need the walking, but it was great to go and
Hmm.
see different places. We flew into Rome and then got on the ship in Rome and then came back to Rome, went to Athens, Mykonos, Santorini. We went to Naples, we went to Pompeii, we went to
Wow.
Pisa, we went to quite a few places. It was a 10-day cruise, and it was a lot for my first real international cruise like
Hmm.
that, but it was a
Right.
great experience. But we do a lot of things. We do it. I do a Mother's Day cruise. I've done a New Year's Eve cruise, and I don't always do cruises. Like Mother's Day in 2026, 2025. Excuse me. We're flying into Jamaica and staying at
Oh.
the resort for 5 days. So I do a lot of things. Disney, you name it, you name it. I do it. I just want people to be happy and have a
Right.
good time. That's
Right.
it.
You
That's
know, I've
it.
I've been on that Mediterranean cruise where I went to. We flew into Venice,
Oh, nice.
Venice, and went to Croatia. Turkey, Greece.
Nice.
Love Greece. Love Greece. I don't know. There's something quaint about Greece. You know, with the cobblestone streets.
Mhm.
You know, they're kind of narrow.
Mhm.
Very
But I tell
narrow.
you, but Turkey. Be careful when you go to Turkey. You've got. They was trying to sell you everything. They'll follow you down the street trying to sell you something.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
serious about that.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
They
They
will follow
warn us
you down.
every day about pickpocketers and everything,
Mhm.
but thank
Oh
God I
boy!
didn't experience any of that. You know, I'm doing a Barcelona trip next year. We're going into Spain, and we're
Wow!
going to do some different things. But there's, I just love travel. I don't care if it's just going on a girls' trip to Aruba. I don't care. I just
Right.
like to travel. I like the beach. I'm a beach girl. So you say beach and I'm going.
You go.
I'm
But
going.
I'm gonna let Clayton jump in because he lived in Italy for a while. Right?
Yes, for
Did
Was
you
it
three
two
like it?
years?
years. Three.
Did you like
I
it,
was
Clayton?
stationed in Italy. I was stationed in Naples.
Oh,
I was
okay.
work. Yeah, I was working on the NATO, and I got a
Okay.
chance to see Spain and Bulgaria and Germany, quite a few
Nice.
places.
Mm-hmm.
France twice, and yeah. But one of the things I wanted to ask you because I want to start going into like the Pacific areas and
Mm-hmm.
also some of the islands. When are
Mm-hmm.
the best seasons to visit some places and
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
your rates?
It all depends on where you want to go. If you
I,
want to
I
do,
particularly want to go to Fiji. That's one thing I always thought
Wow!
Wow.
about going.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, and I can fact check it. I want to tell you March or April, but I'll get back to you on that because I want to go to Fiji too. I've always wanted to go to Fiji and the
I, I
Maldives.
I'll meet you
Mhm.
That's
there.
on my yeah. That's on my bucket list.
well,
That's on
well,
I was mad when I
listen.
went to Dubai and didn't go 3 hours more to the Maldives.
Wow! Wow! Wow!
Mm,
I had a
But
friend that lived in California, and he was from Fiji. He was born there, and he would
wow,
tell me how beautiful that place was. I said,
beautiful.
"Wow! I've always wanted to go. Never
Hmm.
been there." But anyway, we got a couple more minutes. Robert and Tanisha, we got 3 minutes.
Oh, I was going to ask you
Yeah.
about refunds. I'm sorry, Robert. Robert, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead,
I was
sister.
gonna okay, I was gonna ask her a quick, really quick question. Like sometimes when you book a flight, like with American, American
Hmm.
or whoever, and you don't basically take that, you don't go on that trip, you don't take that flight. I thought they're supposed to give you at least like up at least 75% to 100% of your money back since you didn't go on that trip or you didn't
Not if
take the
you don't
flight.
have insurance.
Okay, so it's based off of insurance.
Basically, but in October there's a new law. It was on the news today
Okay, okay,
that
okay,
if you're late, if they don't have a flight, they cancel your flight. They have to give you your money back right then, or they have
Hmm.
to put you in another airline on another flight. So that's
okay.
coming out in October because what's happening is there's so many nightmare stories. I have ladies that went with me to Rome, and one of them still has not gotten her luggage. I have another
Mm,
one that they canceled the flight and it took them an extra day to get home, and the airline didn't want to give them a voucher nor a hotel room.
mhm.
So there's a lot of new laws coming out because the airlines were getting away with a whole lot of stuff and they were
Yeah,
still making a lot of money,
yeah.
but
Mhm.
have come to a conclusion that enough is enough. So if your
Good.
flight is canceled, or
Mhm.
even if it's late and you miss your connecting flight or whatever the case may be, there's going to be repercussions behind all of those things starting October 2024.
It's about time.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. It
Okay.
Yes,
really is.
yes.
Mhm.
Let's see, I'm gonna put up your information. The Raleigh grad just posted your information, but Robert had a question. The South Pacific is great. How
Mhm.
about Tahiti?
Tahiti, they say is beautiful as well. Um, haven't been there. That's on my bucket list too, Robert. I'm that's my thing. You know, Fiji, Tahiti, the Maldives,
Mhm.
Maria, all of
Yeah,
those places are on my list.
Oh wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah. Actually, that's very good because for some reason somebody said that the islands, the South Pacific islands, are sinking. Or
What?
I guess something because of maybe the sand or something or
Right.
other,
And they're
the
surrounded
erosion.
around
But
water.
to try to get people down there as quickly as possible. But definitely like Fiji, Bali, the Indonesia, and that area,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to be able to see something different.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Bali trip in 2025 as well. That's
Oh, wow.
one thing that I have out.
Mhm.
Now if you go on Peach Travel Pro, I'll put the flyers out tomorrow, and you'll be able to see if people that may want to go to Bali or do a Mother's Day trip, or whatever the case may be, or if they just want to get in touch with me. We can talk travel all day and all night.
Oh
Oh,
boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, your information is on the screen. That's
Hmm.
peachtreetravelpro.com.
Yeah.
Peachtravelpro.com.
PeachTravelPro.com. Yep. My phone number's on Facebook. You can always get in touch with me through one of the sisters, the brothers, whatever. If they want to call me, I'll just give them my phone number. It's 201-736-2209.
All right.
That's the
Well,
back
and,
number.
sister.
one more thing, and of course, package deals are much cheaper than individual.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
One
Absolutely.
thing, I want to get out there real quick before we lose time. Unfortunately, and my condolences out to my our Groove brother Steve Johnson, Groove known as Rock Monster. I don't know if you remember him, Peachy, but he was on the line with Billy Copeland and some of the brothers before us. Also,
Mhm.
he just passed away yesterday.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. My
And,
condolences.
and also, we're gonna have a Groove Swing Roundup. We planning that for the 21st of September. We still waiting for confirmation for the meet and greet room. We
Mhm.
play Winston-Salem State that Saturday, 21 September. The game is at
Mm.
1 o'clock. We hope to have this room in Foster Hall, Peachy. As you know, that was our gathering spot.
Right. That would be
Uh,
nice.
yeah, and have a little icebreaker and stuff like that. Hopefully, we'll be able to have the room all day for brothers and sisters to meet and greet and just have a little bit of fellowship. We open it up to everybody. The main idea was to bring back all the grooves and swings from Virginia State and Y2 chapter, uh, the sisters. So hopefully, we get as many participants as possible and
Absolutely.
brothers and sisters from down in the North Carolina area as well. Everybody's invited, along with your spouses and friends. So show up and show out.
That sounds good. Thank you, Raleigh grad.
Hey, hey,
Yeah.
that's right. Hey, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Laurie, hey, this has been special. Thank you,
Thank
thank you,
you.
thank you for taking your time and
Yeah.
coming on with us. And tell your brothers and sisters wherever you are, you, Laurie, and the rest of the panel, and anybody listening to us right now, to tune in to Groove Swing Speaks each and every Tuesday, 4 p.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. on the East. It's a special show, and it's for everyone. So, hey,
Thank you
have a
for
good night,
having me.
everyone. Thank you so much, my sister.
Thank you. Thank
Hola.
you.
All right.
Thank you,
Hola.
Lori.
Nice meeting you.
You're
Hola.
welcome. Same
Enjoy.
here.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Getting
You're
down.
welcome.
Peace and blessings.